to another day here in Bronie's world. And why the party hat? Why the birthday sign? Why the whistle? Because our illustrious leader, the most amazing Dr. Joel Wallach, and my friend, turned 85 a couple of days ago. So I thought that is worth celebrating because this man has a long history of helping others, and his learning ability doesn't expand in just one area. He started out his educational area in agriculture, learning about soils and so forth, which led then from one step to the next step and the next step. So always learning, and still to this day at 85, he's still learning, developing, researching, and growing. So with no further ado, I thought I would ask Doc to share a little bit on each path of his educational journey that led him to where he is today, starting with, I think, if I believe I've got this right, his educational theory. And then at the end, he's going to share with you about his new book. Over to you, Doc. Birthday boy.
Okay, well, thank you so much for the birthday wishes and everything. You know, you're part of the family, and your team is part of the family. So we really appreciate your kindness and thoughtfulness. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And you hit the nail on the head. It started out in agriculture, and grew up on a little farm in Missouri, and we had some cows, and we had some sheep, and we had some pigs, and we had some chickens and some turkeys and stuff like that. But we had land, we had acreage, so we were growing crops. And one of the things I learned as a kid, I learned this, that we were treating animals differently for diseases, and we were treating people for the same disease. It was all totally different. And in animals, we could prevent it and get rid of it. And in humans, they just put you on medicine to relieve symptoms for years and years and years and years. Well, how did that happen? Well, we didn't have health insurance for animals back then. Okay. And so you had to pay for everything. And so the farmers were pretty good about, somebody said, hey, did you hear so-and-so up across the river, got rid of muscular dystrophy in his calves? Well, how did you do that? Well, he started feeding them alfalfa pellets that they put vitamins and minerals into. And, just 2 weeks on these alfalfa pellets with the vitamins and minerals in it, it cured them. So in school, we had some classmates who had muscular dystrophy. So I started taking the alfalfa pellets with the vitamins and minerals in it, and, giving it to my buddies in school, and I'm curing their muscular dystrophy. And, I'm only 9 years old. Okay.
You must be their best friend.
Yeah. This is kind of crazy when you think about it, but it made sense. And I graduated high school. I said, okay, I'm going to be a scientific farmer. So I went to school at University of Missouri, Department of Agriculture, and I was, working, and we didn't have a lot of money, not like cash money. So I was working in the pathology department to get enough money to pay for my tuition and everything in the University of Missouri. What I learned in the pathology department was that they did everything differently for humans than they did for animals. And so it's kind of interesting. And I was seeing all this wonderful stuff, all this learning about diseases in animals and people, and what they did differently for animals than they did for people. And so that was kind of an interesting thing. So I get my degree in agriculture, and then I applied for and got into veterinary school, and I had to continue working in the pathology laboratories. And now, advanced enough, I'm doing helping with autopsies in human beings instead of just animals. Now I'm doing autopsies with human beings. And again, seeing what was going on, one of my favorites was we were seeing we were seeing osteoporosis, okay, of the skull in humans. Okay. The skull was like 2 inches thick instead of a 1/4 inch thick. And squeezing the 12 pairs of cranial nerves and squeezing the spinal cord and everything. We didn't have those things in animals. So I started looking at the clinical records of the people who were on the autopsy table. They were dead and they were died from something. And but they had this osteoporosis of the skull. And so then I looked at their clinical records, and the doctors had never treated them for osteoporosis of the skull. But the doctors were putting notes in there that they had ringing in the ears and balance problems, and they were supposed to take things like hearing aids, okay, for the ringing in the ears and stuff like that. They didn't know anything about osteoporosis of the skull, okay, and these are medical doctors. And so this is,
a lot of them don't even today will not acknowledge that there's osteoporosis of the skull. I do not know a doctor yet, other than yourself and Dr. Glitton, who actually talk about osteoporosis of the skull.
That's right. They do not get taught this in school still yet today. Now, about 2 years ago, of course, I came out with my book. And let's see here. It's all in your head as a title.
Yes, I've got that here somewhere, but I was just having a look for it. Hang on.
So basically,
this one.
You start treating osteoporosis, and there's about 25 different diseases. There you go. About 25 different diseases go away. And it all started with the skull squeezing the 12 pairs of cranial nerves and the spinal cord. And of course, this means that things were going on in your toes. They're causing osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the spinal cord, or squeezing the cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, which went all the way down to your toes. And they do an X-ray of your toes. There's nothing wrong with your toes. So why were the toes all full of pain and twitching and everything? That's because the skull was squeezing that vagus nerve up here. Okay. Yes. And so it's kind of easy when you think about it. Well, this is how I kind of got involved. And of course, I was able to, using that sort of concept of looking at autopsies, and my thesis on 30,000 autopsies over a 10-year period, it was a grant from NIH, $12 million, okay, and I'm just a kid, okay, and we're doing all these autopsies and everything, and writing all these papers and everything, and people are just sort of waving on their face, and they say, well, I think we know this. No, goodbye. We don't want to talk about this. You're nuts. They thought I was crazy. Well, it turns out that the things like, we got rid of cystic fibrosis, to make a long story short, which is a terrible birth defect in kids, and they thought that was a genetic thing. So we started giving these kids who had cystic fibrosis, we're giving them all these vitamins and minerals, and their cystic fibrosis is going away. Yeah. Okay. And then I had kids in my class when I was 9 years old who had muscular dystrophy. So I started giving them the same alfalfa pellets with the vitamins and minerals in it that we were giving the calves that had muscular dystrophy. We got rid of the muscular dystrophy in the calves, and it's going away in the kids. Okay. And the teachers are freaking out. Okay.
The parents are probably very happy as well.
The parents are very happy. And then the third one, okay, was sudden death syndrome, which is terrible, terrible disease. The family would wake up in the morning and the baby's dead in the crib. And the doctors thought that the mothers were laying on the babies and suffocating them. No, the mothers weren't climbing in the crib and laying in the crib with the babies. They were dying of cardiomyopathy, heart attack, which was caused by a deficiency of a single mineral. And so I started suing the FDA to put these minerals into baby formulas, because back then it was just milk in a bottle. Yeah. They didn't add anything to it, maybe vitamin D, that was about it. Okay. And so I'd win, and then the FDA would sue me. Food and Drug Administration would sue me so they could take that stuff, these nutrients, out of the baby formulas. Then I'd sue them again, and I'd win again. We did this 8 times. I beat them and we'd win. They'd go against me, and we had to fight them again 8 times. And we got rid of synovial death syndrome. You don't hear about SIDS anymore. You don't hear about muscular dystrophy anymore. You don't hear about cystic fibrosis anymore. Well, the newest one, of course, is metabolic syndrome.
Yeah.
Metabolic syndrome. Now, metabolic syndrome is kind of interesting. I first learned about that back in 2000. I published my book, let's see here, Hell's Kitchen, in 2000. Let's see, in 2000. Then the third printing came out as 2005. And Hell's Kitchen was a very interesting book because it dealt with the coming of electricity.
Yes.
Because in 1882, electricity came to the United States, and people were just jumping on it, going with electricity. It was cleaner, didn't stink up the house, didn't have any risk of fire in the house, all that kind of stuff. And, they could just flip the switch and put something in the oven and come back an hour later and everything's done. And people loved the electricity. Well, there was something going on there that they didn't think about. When they had the electricity, there was no more wood ashes, no more coal ashes for cooking and heating and lighting and stuff like that. And so they were putting the wood ashes and coal ashes into their gardens. Well, wood ashes and coal ashes are minerals. And the plants would take up those minerals. Now, they weren't all the same because some wood only had 3 minerals in it. So they only had 3 minerals in the wood ashes. Okay?
Yes.
Because plants only need 3 minerals. We need 60. And then some plants had 10, some had 15, some had 25, some had 30, some had 50, some had 75, some had 100. And the land flowing with milk and honey wasn't cow's milk.
No.
It was glacial milk. Now, they didn't know that. They thought it was cow's milk because they're looking up at the mountains. They're seeing this white water coming down the side of the mountain, which was glaciers grinding up the volcanic ash up in the mountains. And the ash that they were grinding up was white dust. And the white dust got into the streams going down the side of the mountains. And from half a mile away, you could see this white stream coming down the mountain. People thought it was milk, so they called it, they called
The land of milk and honey.
The land of milk and honey. You got it. Okay. Now,
It's
again,
talked about quite a lot in the Bible.
yep. And they were quite right. Now, why did some people, like Methuselah, live to be 969 and everybody else was dying in their 20s? Well, the people who died in their 20s, they were only getting 3 minerals in their milk and honey. Okay.
Yes.
People like Methuselah, who lived to be 969, he was getting 100 nutrients in his glacial milk. Okay. And so these are the things we figured out. Just, I don't know, 12, 15 years ago, we spent over $1 million in longevity, my company, to go to the places in Europe and places in Africa and Egypt and places where people lived a long time back in the Bible days, 2,000 years ago. We got samples of the soil. And so we know what places had 5 minerals, what places had 100 minerals and all that kind of stuff in the soil. And that's why they're all eating the same recipes, but some were only getting 5 minerals and some were getting 100 minerals, but the recipe was the same. Okay. Yeah. And so that's why they were the chosen ones, because they were living in places which had 75 or more minerals in the soil. The plants were taking them up, they're eating those, and this is why they live so long. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it, but it was that simple. So because of that, we bought 8 mineral mines. They're scattered around the world. Now, these 8 mineral mines occurred where the land flowed in milk and honey, and people lived to be 300 or more. 300, 500, 600, 700, 900. And so when you look at our products, guess what? We don't just have 3 minerals in there.
Right.
Every one of them have a minimum of 75 minerals. Many of them have 100 minerals, depending on which mine this program came from. But the point that I'm making is our supplement program, our mineral supplement program, is the only one on the market in the industrialized world, in Europe and Asia and the United States and Canada and so forth, we're the only ones that have that many minerals in our mineral supplement program. Everybody else says, well, we put extra iron in there. Well, that was only one.
Exactly. And that's what I love about our company and our supplements is it's from natural areas. It's not synthetic minerals and nutrients. It's not
No.
made up. It's the real deal.
Yeah, all natural. This is the real deal. And of course, again, we're so excited that we had all the data, all the proof, and it cost us $1 million to do all the analyses of the soil where all these people who lived a long time, living in the land of milk and honey. And so we're very, very excited about that. And of course, now we have the books and things, and including Hell's Kitchen, which went into that. It was called Hell's. The book was entitled Hell's Kitchen.
Yes, it's right there behind you.
Yeah, because
Behind
when we went to electricity, we left our source of minerals behind by giving up wood and coal, because we would put wood ashes and coal ashes into our food as a spice. We put the wood ashes and coal ashes into the soil as a fertilizer. Okay.
Yeah.
And so once we went to electricity, there was no more minerals. And so the commercial minerals in the fertilizer for the plants, the crops that people would eat, only had 3 minerals in it, because that's all the plants needed. And you could get really a lot of plants growing in the soil with 3 minerals, because that's all plants need. And so if you ate those tomatoes and ate those beans and that sort of stuff, you're getting 3 minerals, because plants can make vitamins, but plants cannot make minerals. There's only 3 in the soil. That's what they took up. And so we're figuring all this out. And of course, it was a big story in the book, Hell's Kitchen. Kitchens became hell when they, okay, because they went to electricity. All right. And so
and
then,
some of them are even more so today, with all the way they cook, the oils and the air fryers, and it just blows my mind how even
okay, so now
doctors still today say cooking oil, olive oil.
let's see the next step here. Let's see the next step where things went.
Okay.
This book came out just about, I don't know, 10 days ago, Metabolic Syndrome. Okay. It's out now. It's selling like crazy. This is a big picture of it. The actual book is about half this size. It's 58 pages. The book It's All in Your Head is 30 pages, but about the same size. And when you understand the metabolic syndrome is not a genetic disease, although the doctors want you to think it's a genetic disease. You have to have abdominal obesity, belly fat. You have to have type 2 diabetes. You have hypertension, high blood pressure. And then there's about 25 other diseases that kind of cluster around these things. And doctors are telling all these patients that this is a genetic thing. Well, that's not true. Well, right now, here's the statistics of, okay, and this is in the United States, 33 to 34% of adults in the United States have the metabolic syndrome.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat that. 33 to 34% of the population in the United States, adults, okay, have, well, that includes adults, of course. Men is 40%, 40.6%, and women is 39%. And there's some kids, teenagers and stuff that have it too. And then it's like 1 out of 3, 30% of people in America have the metabolic syndrome. And doctors now are creating confusion, because when they see this diabetes in these people with all these different diseases, they say, oh, this is, there's type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. So they say, this is type 3 diabetes. There's no such thing as type 3 diabetes. They just make that up because they don't know what to say about diabetes with all these other diseases. See? Okay, so you say, oh, this is type 3 diabetes. No, it's just type 2 diabetes. It goes along with the cause. Okay, now, race and ethnicity are factors, okay, because of their food, their diets, what they eat, how they cook, all that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of interesting. And in Canada, now that's America, 33 to 34%. Again, men is 40.6 and women is 39.1. Now, Canada, their rate of metabolic syndrome is 19.1%.
Wow.
About a third.
Bit of a difference.
So big difference. What's going on there? That's because they have all these volcanoes and mountains, and the minerals are getting into the farm soils.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so that's what's going on there, and that's why Canada is doing so well. They don't have very much. Okay, and then Australia is over 35% of Australian adults have metabolic syndrome. Okay.
That's more than the US.
Well, about the same. About the same.
Mm.
Yeah, in the US, where men are 40.6%, women are 39%, and Australia is 35%. Okay. And it's kind of crazy. So
I'd
now,
imagine New Zealand probably would be like Canada, a little lower, because they have a lot of volcanic.
yeah, exactly. I'm going to look that up. Thank you. And then obesity, of course, 40% of Americans are obese, 18% are severely obese, 43% of males are obese, 41.9% of females are obese. Obesity in America is defined as 25 pounds overweight. Okay. And of course, the cause of obesity is nutritional deficiencies, particularly of minerals, producing a behavior called pica.
Yes.
And people eat like 3 meals an hour. So they're eating 9, 10, 12, 15 meals a day. And that's why they're 50 pounds overweight. Okay. It's not a genetic thing. Okay. Yeah, 1882 is when coal was replaced by electricity. 1882. Okay.
It's crazy, right?
Mm.
Yeah. It's very interesting how that you started in agriculture, and that is the basis of all health issues, is what's in the soil. If it's not
There
in
you
the
go.
soil, it's not in the food.
Yeah, yeah. Plants can make vitamins, but they cannot make minerals.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so diabetes, there's 37.3 million cases of diabetes in the USA, 11.3% of the population, 96 million pre-diabetics. Annual cost in the United States, the cost of diabetes in the United States, just to treat the symptoms, not to prevent or cure, but just the cost to treat the symptoms is 342 billion with a B. Okay, wow.
And it's interesting, Doc. I speak to people with diabetes all the time, and they are absolutely 100% convinced once you've got it, you can't do a thing about it.
Well, in the medical treatment, that's true. You can control it with their medicine, but you can't cure it. We give them what the body needs to get rid of it. Okay, can't use that.
Yeah, I try to educate them on that, but they sort of, no, my doctor says, and that, I guess, is
Well,
the hard job we have.
Yeah, well, doctors have done a kind of really an interesting job here because they have made the average person on the street believe that doctors know more than God. My doctor,
no one knows more than God, not even us. Definitely not me.
Okay, so let's see here.
Not that I have all the answers either, and not that you have all the answers either, but God does.
Okay, obesity is $260 billion we spend each year just to treat obesity, not to prevent or cure it. Diabetes, $342 billion a year just to treat the symptoms, not to prevent or cure it. Arthritis, $626.8 billion just to treat the symptoms, not to prevent or cure it. And then high blood pressure, $131 billion a year just to treat the symptoms, not to prevent or cure it. Okay. Arthritis, well, we said $626.8 billion to treat the symptoms of arthritis. And then osteoporosis, when you combine the US, Canada, and the European Union, okay, those three communities, just to treat the symptoms now, not to prevent or cure it, osteoporosis, we spend 6.5 trillion with a T dollars each year just to treat the symptoms of osteoporosis. Now, this is how doctors get all their kids' tuitions paid for college.
Yes.
Now you come to us, we will get rid of your osteoporosis because it's a simple nutritional deficiency disease, not genetic in any way, shape, or form. Okay. And
yes,
so,
and the reason, and as you've taught us over the years, Doc, the reason people think, well, but my mother had it, my grandmother had it, you know, you sort of alluded to the fact, well, look at the way they cooked, the way they did things, and usually you find you follow the same pattern of how you cook and prepare your meals and so forth, and that's why it looks like it's genetic, because of the methods that are used are the same.
yeah, well, see, if that nutrient is missing in the soil, the plants don't need that nutrient. Plants don't need that nutrient.
That's right.
Because
And if you're
plants,
cooking in oils, you know, in oils instead of water or butter, you're going to have the same issue.
yeah, so exactly. And so we've got it all figured out, and it's kind of exciting. And of course, when you look back at the old days, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, when they're talking about the land flowing with milk and honey, and people would live to be 900, 910, 905, 912, 930, 950, 962, 969. And we're talking about all these biblical characters, and people saying, oh, well, they just made all that stuff up. Well, no, they tracked them generation by generation by generation by generation, the same people, but they were places that had that glacial milk coming down from the mountains, bringing all those minerals down. And this is what they were irrigating their gardens with and growing their plants. And so instead of the plants having 3 minerals in them, the plants had 75 minerals in them.
Yes, and they didn't have outside forces like 5G and all that either.
There you go. Okay, so you get an
And
A+.
I believe that has an effect on our health as well. You know, all these outside forces coming in, and it's
well, the outside
it
forces
all comes down to electricity, doesn't it?
Yes, it all comes down to electricity. And again, I just love the fact that we were working on this back in 2000, and it was written up in my book, Hell's Kitchen, in 2005, 26 pages, chapter 15. Okay.
It's a great book. I have that book. I just don't have it close at hand for me to just pick up and grab and show it to you.
Yeah, well,
when out in the lounge room where everyone can pick it up and read it.
So when you get a chance, look it up and read what I said 20 years ago about metabolic syndrome. But this book is flying off the shelf. The Metabolic Syndrome book is flying off the shelf because every family has people with the metabolic syndrome in it. And doctors are telling them it's genetic and blah, blah, blah. And they're saying, well, maybe Wallach's right. If he's wrong, we'll find out. If he's right, we'll all be happy. Okay.
Exactly right. I mean, following your protocol or the different protocols that our health coaches give each individual, because that's what we do, you start to see a difference. And even those who have long-term illnesses, if they can see a little bit of a difference, it's got to make them feel good. My youngest.
I want to stop you there for a minute. That health coaching system you just mentioned, are you one of the health coaches?
I definitely am. I was in the first graduating class.
Well, there you go. Now, this is one of the reasons why we respect you and love you so much. In the inside cover of this new book, The Metabolic Syndrome, well, guess what? There's a whole story about the health coaches and inviting people to become health coaches. And then we go into the book, Metabolic Syndrome. But the inside of the cover page is the whole
that's
story.
Wonderful. That's that's really handy to know, because that course, even if you don't want to become a health coach, the education you get in it just for yourself is
And your
priceless.
family.
Yeah.
For yourself and your family.
Exactly.
But if you
right.
if you want to make some extra money, get some tax deductions for using the space in your house to run a business, you want to become a health coach, and you learn these things. And so when you buy a book, it's tax deductible. If
The course is even tax deductible.
I'm sorry?
The course is even tax deductible.
Oh yeah, the course is tax deductible. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we're very excited about that. We're very proud about that. And this is, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger every time we look around. Someone says, well, gosh, we can do this, this, and this with the metabolic syndrome. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those things where we have essentially found a way to eliminate the metabolic syndrome, which afflicts 1 out of 3 adults in America. Okay. 1 out of 3.
And clearly Australia, because, you said
Australia, yeah.
35% here, so.
Yeah, 1 out of 3, 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
Okay. In Australia is getting the metabolic syndrome. And so you become a health coach, and you earn some extra income. You get tax breaks in your house and your car because you're using them for your business, and you're helping your family, your neighbors, your workmates. You're helping the world.
Yeah.
And so we're so proud of that we're helping people that were told they had a genetic thing, there was nothing could be done for them. And so now it's kind of like going crazy. People are buying those books, they buy a dozen of them and give them to their family members and their church pastors and so forth and so on. And so we're so happy that everybody's jumping on these books, because it's one of these things where you're not going to find it in the medical system.
No. Sadly not. Sadly not. Yeah. So, well, that was some really great information there, Doc. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And it just shows that at 85, you can still learn.
You can still do it.
That's right. I mean, I know some health coaches who are in their 80s, and there's the odd ones that are in their 90s as well. And they just love learning. They want to look. It's not the expansion of the years that God gives you. It's how you live those years that's important. And why not live it at the best health life?
And it gives people who are seniors a purpose in life to help other people. Okay. Absolutely. And they don't have to go and spend a lot of money in college and time in college and all that kind of stuff. Do this out of your home. And we're so proud that we have people of all ages, whether you're a teenager or you're somebody who's in your 80s or 90s or 100, you can still become a health coach. And so it's very exciting when you think about it.
It is. And the biggest market is baby boomers. I'm a baby boomer.
Say what?
I said, and the biggest market for people who are looking to better their health are the baby boomers. And I'm a baby boomer. Believe it or not, I'm a baby boomer.
You're too young. You're too young and too cute to be a baby boomer.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, dear. Yes. Well, you've got a few years on the doc, but I am so grateful for your knowledge and the intuitive foresight you had at such a young age to be able to realize that something wasn't quite right, and being a very inquisitive child to seek it out. And because of that,
we're seeing these things happening to grandma and grandpa and neighbors and teachers and pastors, and we're getting rid of those same diseases in animals. So why didn't we use animal stuff on people and it worked?
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And it is, like I said, it still astounds me today that people can't see the connection. And but anyway, we will continue to educate the world as best we can.
We're going to get as many health coaches as we can get them out there. Right now, I think we've got close to 2,000.
It'd be easy that. Yep. I would believe we got a graduation coming up very soon. I think it's the beginning of next month,
Yep.
It was
So
originally the end of this month, but there's a lot going on, so it's been
the
moved.
end of this year, I think we'll be at 3,000 health coaches by the end of this year. So I'm very excited about that.
Yes. Oh, let's make it a goal to have even more. especially with the limited time half price deal we have going at the moment. So if you're looking to be a health coach, or you just want to learn about it just for yourself, contact me and I will give you the link and the code to get you 50% off that course, which is way cheaper than any other health coaching course out there that I've ever come across. So it's a great deal, Doc.
Yeah, you'll help them with their health, their family's health, their neighbors' health, their workmates' health, their pastors' their health, their church's health. And it's one of those things where the average person on the street doesn't realize that they have capacity, even if you only have a high school education, even if you dropped out of school in 9th grade, but you can read and write, you can do a health coach thing.
Oh, absolutely. Because, if you can listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can watch. Well, you don't, even if you can't see it and you listen, it'll help. So, because you can just listen to the lectures, sort of, and a lot of people who.
We're going to thank you in advance because we know you're a child of God and you are so good. You help so many people. We're so very proud of you, and we can't help but thank the Lord for blessing us with your presence and all that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Doc. Thank you. Well, how about we just leave it there today and let the birthday boy continue to celebrate his birthday this week. It's been amazing. I've seen some really good celebrations and from the company and everything. That was wonderful. And so they should. And I think the world should celebrate Doc Wallach and his 85 years, blessing us with most of those years with better health or the opportunity to have better health, because not everyone takes it up. Not everyone.
That's right. Everybody doesn't put out the effort.
No. And not everyone has an open mind to realize that God gave us a body to heal itself. We just have to give it what it needs to do its job.
And so what you want to do is surround yourself with a land flowing with milk and honey.
Absolutely.
It's glacial milk. It's not cow's milk.
But if you haven't got the ability to be in those places, we have all of that here for you in our company, Longevity, and we can help you with that and help you how to balance that in your life.
Oh, yeah.
And it just doesn't matter how, look, if your budget is limited, start with the plant-derived minerals. It's one of the cheapest ones we got. Bottle, it will at least start to make a difference. And a lot of people who I have talked to, that's exactly where they started. That's all they could afford. And as they started to get better, they stopped buying junk food because they weren't craving it anymore. And so they saw the savings there. So they were able to add the complete 90 essential nutrients and minerals, the Healthy Body Start Packs, which is what we prefer you start with. Mm-hmm. But we've got something to help every budget.
Absolutely.
And that's what's important, is you've got to start somewhere. And we help you do that, and we help you to see what things you should avoid, like all the processed foods and sugar. Anyway, so that's what we do here in our holistic health coaching course and business. And because Doc has taught us, this is what we need to do if we want to live younger longer.
There you go.
Live healthier. So as I say here in Bronie's World, I'll ask you all really nicely to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And when you're celebrating 85 years, still looking chipper, still learning, still educating, and turning your health around to live younger longer, then you too will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. God bless you all. Catch you again tomorrow here in Bronie's World. Thank you, Doc, and happy birthday again to you. I should sing that. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Wallach. Happy birthday to you. God bless you, and thank you for your time with us today and everything you do. I just feel very honored and blessed to call you my friend and part of the
We're
family.
related, we're relatives. And can't thank you enough for allowing us to share this information with you and your family and your associates. You're having a huge impact, positive impact on the area. Well, more than your area, you're helping the world. Can't thank you
Yes.
enough.
Yeah, I have clients in a couple of different countries now, which is wonderful. It's nice to be able to feel like you're just, well, like you're in the same room. Zoom can do that. You feel like you're in the same room, but you're actually on the other side of the world. So at the moment, Doc's visiting Australia because he's in Bronie's office at Bronie's desk. All right, Doc, we'll catch you again next month.
Okay, God bless.
God bless you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.